Hello and welcome again to another Anxioneers video where the DEI professionals who sat with me and argued with me as I was writing Embracing Anxiety are here to talk about a special area of anxiety that they are interested in or they're particularly good at. And I don't know which one of us is the best at this, but we're talking about anxiety, apathy, and distractions. And I think I'm winning, but we could listen to the others and see. So I'm here with three dynamic emotional integration trainers and consultants. Next to me is Bobbi McIntyre from South Carolina. And below her on my screen is Anchen Texter from Oregon. Hello. And next to Anchen is Sandi Davis from California. And we came together to talk about anxiety, which is the emotion that helps us gather what we need and arrive in the future prepared. Either we've done all our tasks or we've met our deadlines. That's anxiety's job. And apathy, which is an interesting emotion that comes up to sort of put a mask over the top of our anger if we can't set boundaries appropriately in a situation. And then distractions, which are we're supposed to be doing this, but this seems really interesting right now. and how about that too? So when you're in a time when you're dealing with a lot of anxiety, it's not wrong to go to apathy or to distractions, right? We're not shaming anybody, but we wanted to talk about why and what might you learn about yourself if you find yourself moving to apathy or distractions, right? And anybody can raise their hand if you're feeling it, and you'd like to talk about distractions. I'm writing another book right now, and it's a very intense time. I'm on a deadline, which I hate deadlines. And so I just got to keep my head down. Every day is a working day, right? There's just not a time. And I'm finding like I'm having to put Hulu in the day rather than the way that I was doing. I'd be like typing for a while and then I'd be like, wonder what's on Hulu. And I realized I was just working too hard and I wasn't setting any boundaries for myself in terms of work. I was just like, you got to work. And then of course it would be normal for me to want to go, I want to play. I want to do something, anything else. What do you do? What happens with your distractions when, Anchen?
Oh, well, since it's summertime, I have lots of outdoor distractions. One of my favorite things is to go out and harvest pretty much anything. I love to harvest, right? So, a good distraction for me, like I'll take a break, I'll go outside and I'll harvest raspberries. I'm like, okay, so that's not terrible. But the thing is it gives me the thing that's great about distractions. It gives me a cognitive break, right? I can kind of think about something else. It's an emotional break from what I'm currently working on, and then when I come back, I've got some space, some perspective, and I can come back with a fresh perspective, um, and a better ability just to see, what am I working with, to a better ability to look at the emotions that maybe I'm kind of stuck with or avoiding, right, with my distractions. Thinking, oh, I'm a little anxious. So I was feeling a little anxious before we got on this call today. And so I wanted to distract myself from it because I had gotten ready. There wasn't anything else I could do. So I did a little distraction practice, and that took my mind off the anxiety. And then I came back and I was ready to talk today.
Woohoo! I like the consciousness of the distractions there, whereas my previous Hulu behavior was not conscious, right? It wasn't a good break. It was just a break, right? And then when I came back, I had more work and I was feeling ashamed of myself, which I should have been feeling ashamed of myself, right? But yeah, getting my distractions into a conscious place where I'm choosing them and realizing I need a break that's a big step, I think. So thank you, Raspberry. The Raspberry Shaman.
Raspberries.
Bobbi, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I have found that when I'm watching TV, when I get really anxious when the plot gets thick.
Mm.
And sometimes I will pick up my phone and start looking at Facebook. Or I'll get up and I'll go into the kitchen and start washing dishes just to try and calm, because I'm very focused and I use all my empathy when I'm watching TV, and I become the main character, the protagonist, and it gets scary. Um, so I identified my distraction this morning when I was watching a TV show and went, oh my God, well, there it is. There's one of them.
Yeah, yeah, needing a break from intensity, I think,
Exactly,
is
exactly.
really
So
important.
if it's intense and there's nothing I can do to change it or stop it, or I have no control over it. So I just use my apathy, get up, go do something else to, to distract myself.
Wait, does the TV show keep going?
Oh yeah.
I would turn off the TV at that point. I like that you're like, okay, you can keep telling this story that's overwhelming, and I'm just going to go do something else.
I do come back to it.
Yeah.
And when I calm down, I come back to it and finish watching the story.
Thank you. Sandi?
I find it really interesting uh, to observe what I'm distracting myself with. You know, so I'll go on Netflix binges, you know, and I'm like, what am I watching? Like, why am I watching that? And there's always some kind of a message, you know. It's like I'll rewatch a series that I've seen before or multiple times before because I'm wanting something predictable and safe and calming. And so that informs me like, oh, okay, so if I just didn't judge myself for watching this again and I got curious about why this, why now, it gives me information. And so then my distraction actually becomes a thread that I can follow.
Yeah.
And then I usually find something like, oh, okay, I'm really anxious about what's going on. And so the way that I can just kind of down regulate and soothe myself is to give me a little hit of something that will calm me down, that will kind of mellow, you know, so that I can get that break and I can get a breather and then go back to the intensity of the life plot, right? So so I've learned over time to really value my distractions and to do my best just to stay present. So I'm like, okay, I'm in distraction mode right now. Okay, cool. And not go quite totally unconscious. So I don't like come up in a haze like 5 hours later out of Netflix and go, whoa, what just happened there? You know, I'm like, okay, I'm entering in. I'm reaching for my distractions. And
Yeah.
that's just kind of softened everything and allowed things to kind of sort themselves out while I'm taking a breather. And
Yeah, I like that idea of bringing consciousness to a behavior you're already doing instead of getting very school marmish and like stop yourself from doing that. I'm also finding I'm really needing to curate my distractions. I'm curating my reading and my TV. Someone told me about a really good show that I started watching, and it's about a total dystopian, violent police state. I was like, nope.
not now, not
nope.
now.
Don't need a dystopia. If there's a dystopia, I need to know that some people are going to get out of it. And yeah, that was not it. So I needed a distraction from that distraction. But yeah, making sure that what's coming in is actually feeding me rather than just putting me into, what would you be like? My mom called it bubble gum for the brain. You know, you're like, you're just kind of, bubble gum is great. But I also want to be fed by what I'm doing when I'm not working. There's a concept from Sweden, which is done in the workplace called fika, Fika. And you can call fika at any time. And in Sweden, there's there's Danish involved. No, there's sweets involved. So you go and you have coffee and some sweets. So it's cake, it's pie, it's something. And everyone sits down and you don't talk about work. You just fika. And I've been doing that for myself. And they're looking at data on how much people work and they're focused. It's about 60 to 90 minutes. And then people have to take a break. And that was a big news to me because I used to write for 6 hours at a time. And my whole being says, nope, what's on Netflix, And I'm noticing it's in that 60 to 90 minute period. So now I'm setting up fika for myself, not with cake every time, right? But something to drink, go outside, walk around, something. So I give myself breaks and I'm not on this track of work because I can get very focused on work. And I was thinking about apathy. Apathy is a very important emotional state that is kind of, I don't care. It sets a boundary against the world. I'm not available, talk to the hand, I don't care. And we're taught to treat it as a bad thing, apathy, instead of seeing what purpose it has. So when you're in an anxious place, how does apathy show up for you? And have you worked with it as well as you're working with your distractions? Or do you just go into the I don't care and then lose your train of thought or whatever? That's a different question. Sandi?
Yeah, I noticed that my apathy and distractions work together a lot when apathy comes in,
Mm-hmm.
because whatever it is that's going on in my world, I can't set a boundary for. So then apathy comes in, and then a distraction will come in to, distract me from what it is that I can't affect change for in the way that I want to.
Mm-hmm.
So apathy for me a lot of times it's a shutdown mechanism. It just kind of like shuts everything down, so then I don't have to deal with it for however long of a period of time that
Mm-hmm.
it is. So
yeah Anchen?
Yeah, I find apathy can come up if I'm feeling stuck on a project.
Yeah.
Like maybe I'm doing some kind of a spreadsheet, or I'm doing something creative. I'm just like stuck up, hit the brick wall. Like, okay, then apathy might come up and say, whatever, I don't care about this anymore. Put it to the side and go to a distraction for a while.
Yeah.
And oftentimes I find that the distractions I choose will often give me perspective. So I'm a serial novel reader. I will sit down and read a novel in one sitting. So I gain other people's perspective from doing that, right? And this way I learn things. Oh, I never thought of it that way. And oftentimes I find that the stories I choose are ones that have something similar with what I'm going through, with what I'm experiencing myself, whether it's somebody with a creative block or, a relationship issue, whatever it might be. And then when I've had that distraction and I'm complete, then I can cycle back around to it and say, oh, well, maybe if I look at it from this perspective, or maybe if I let go of that expectation of it being perfect, then I could just move forward with this thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I notice in my writing that sometimes I'll get apathetic about it, and it will be because there was something there that wasn't right. Just wasn't right, but I was so much stuck in the pushing forward of the writing of it, I didn't have time to do that. So apathy will come up and just kind of knock me out for a little bit. It's like boom, you're done, you're down. And then I'll have to come up and say, well, what do I care about? So yeah, it's like I can use that apathetic time to recalibrate to what actually is important. So thank you, apathy. Bobbi, you had your hand up?
Just briefly, I've found that I use apathy when I go out to do physical labor. I get in, I'm all excited to begin. We mow 40 acres.
Oh my word.
About every other week. It takes us 4 days to mow all of our open property here. And there's sticks everywhere because he's cut down trees. And I hate running over sticks with my brand new riding zero-turn lawnmower. And so I was all excited to go out and pick up sticks the other morning. And I got out there, and of course it was hot as anything. And I got about halfway through picking up sticks, and suddenly I could care less about picking up sticks. I was done. And I just quit and went back into the house and got my water and cooled off and that kind of thing. But I found that apathy will come up to get me out of, to get me into a safe environment. I think I was getting overheated. So
yeah. Thank you, apathy.
Yeah, thank you, apathy. I don't want to pick up sticks anymore.
This isn't a fun game anymore. Sandi?
I find it really, I still, after all this time of being in this work, find it interesting and fascinating how the emotions always come back, you know, so like I'm anxious about something, and so I can fall into apathy, and then I'll, you know, bring in a distraction, and then at some point anxiety will kind of rise up again and said, remember, you need to do, like, the lawn still needs to be written, the book still needs to be written, my newsletter still needs to be written, you know, like, so the anxiety gets a break, it gets to rest, and then it will come back up to do its job and remind me that like I am heading somewhere, and I do need to, you know, put my attention back there again. And that whole cycle is so much more elegant and helpful when I don't judge it so much, when I don't make myself wrong for being apathetic, or I don't make myself wrong for my distractions. I just give them some space to breathe, and, you know, they will carry me where I need to go. But the biggest problem is when I start judging myself, like, I shouldn't be doing this. I should be writing. I should be cleaning the house. I should be, you know, checking up on this or that. I should get that bookkeeping done.
Yeah, I'm just realizing so much that for me, the work in DEI, dynamic emotional integration, is to make friends with yourself. Make friends with your emotions, make friends with your behaviors, and just see, I must have a good idea behind this, rather than what is wrong with you. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Instead of doing that, like, if I were really good with my emotions, then I wouldn't need this one, right?
Yeah.
If I were really good at this, if I really accepted all of my emotions, I wouldn't need my apathy or my distractions or anything. It's like, no, actually, I really need them. Life is so much easier in a lot of ways when I can, like, welcome them in. And it's like, oh, you're here now. Okay, come on in. Let's have a cup of tea.
Thank you. Anchen, you had your hand up.
It's a matter of trusting your emotions, like trusting when you feel them coming up, saying, oh, you must be here for a reason. Tell me what you want to tell me. Tell me what you have for me. I'm going to hear it anyway. You might as well just tell me. Process, right? You know,
Yeah.
you get stuck somewhere, you feel apathetic, you're like, okay, whatever, I don't care about this. I'm going to go do something else. Just trusting yourself that you're going to come back around, because it's all, you know, it all comes back around. Emotions are always going to be there until you deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're always trying to help. Always. And so it's like, yeah, what help do you have for me? And eventually you get less of that grimace.
And it's okay when, like, you know, sometimes our emotions come up and they're really strong and they're really overwhelming. And it's okay if it's overwhelming to the degree that you need a little bit of a break or a breather.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's okay. And that's another thing, to not judge myself when, again, like, well, if I was really good with my emotions, it wouldn't matter when they come crashing in on me, you know, when the grief comes raining down and the sadness just washes me out. And it's like, no, actually, that's all part of it too, you know, and that huge gift of of apathy and distractions to let me like catch my breath again, and the anxiety to then come back in and say, okay, there's work here to do. You know, it's a really, it can be bumpy in the midst of it, but it's really such an elegant, you know, this whole, our emotions are so elegant in the way that they're always working for us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They're sweeties. Well, and so are you. Thank you so much for coming and talking about anxiety and apathy and distractions, and helping people understand that all three are fine. All three are fine. Just bring some consciousness and love to it, and you'll be fine. Novels, Hulu, Netflix, walking outside, raspberries, it's fika, cake. It's all good. It's all good.
I want fika with a side of raspberries,
The
please.
fika raspberries. Okay. Thank you so much. And let me know if I forgot anything. Are we good on this?
I think it's good.
I think we're good. Thank you. See you next time.